Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to Adventures in Metaphysics. So, it's been another week. I never know how to quite start out these videos, like what to say. But it's been another week, here we are again. And I went a little rogue last week. I did not really stick at all to the decks I said I was going to use, which is okay. But that's actually the first time I think it's happened. And I mean, you know, this week, lots of things going on. We had Litha, we had the start of Cancer season, the world, I'm sure, as we're all feeling. So it was important for me to kind of pick the decks that felt right for the day this week. Which is what I find whenever I'm kind of having some turbulent emotions, I suppose you can say. The one place I don't want to control myself, I suppose, is with my decks. I just want to go off feeling, which is okay. That being said, I'm going to recap, you know, what I initially planned on using, but also I want to show you what I actually ended up using, I suppose. So we had the Bonefire Tarot, which is the deck you all voted on, and this was one, let's see, I pulled this one out once. This was the first deck I ended up using, and I really enjoyed reading with it. It didn't feel quite right for the rest of the week. As much as I do enjoy it and really want to spend time with it, because it's not a typical deck for me to use. It fell by the wayside this week. So this one pretty much only used once, so I don't really have much more to say on it. Except that I really love the guidebook, I have to say. Next, we had the Crimson Asteria Tarot, which, if you watched my last week's video, you know how I feel about this. This was a last-minute replace. I initially was going to use Tarot of the She, but I really wanted to use this one. And so this one, I think it came out 2 or 3 times. I still feel exactly the same. I love this deck so much. We are going to put it aside this week, but look at that card. So good. It's just really good, and the guidebook is really simple yet powerful, I find. So don't be surprised if this one comes out again soon, because this red color and just like with all the gold just feels like a summer deck. I don't know. I'm gonna use this all year long, I know it, but feels particularly right this time of year. Alright, so then, oh, did I take it out? Oh, I did. Okay. Oracle of Echoes didn't come out at all. I think this one poses itself, I think it does anyway, as kind of a shadowy deck. I don't think it really strictly needs to be used for that, but it felt like too much this week, if I'm being honest. I just wasn't in a place to really be using something like this, so I didn't. And that is okay. I still really like it. I'm excited to get to know it better. I love the keywords on this one, and it's so pretty, the artwork. But this week was not its time, I suppose. This one I kind of feel like too maybe isn't really like a daily pull kind of deck. I wonder if I'm gonna feel similarly about it as I do with my Reclaim Oracle. That one I wouldn't use for a daily pull. That's very much like personal, emotional work, and I think maybe that's why I wasn't drawn to use Oracle of Echoes, especially this week. So the last Oracle I had picked out was the Fairy Forest, and this one did get some time, probably 2 or 3 times again, which I really, you know, I had my doubts about this one, but I've really come around to it. I really love it, especially the way it was trimmed. I received it trimmed this way. Andy trimmed this one, and I really love how it turned out. Not that I've never really, you know, I've never seen the full one aside from just some pictures, but they just seem like huge cards. So I really like how she trimmed this one. And it's just been such a different experience using it. I'm really, really liking this oracle, and I'm excited about it. I think this is probably going to come out again soon. I almost wanted to use it again this week, but I don't think I am. Alright, now getting into some of the decks that I did use. To start... Oh, I didn't take out some, I just remembered. I used the Dreams of Gaia Tarot on Litha? Summer Solstice. It just really felt like the right deck to use. I did a spread I found on Instagram and really enjoyed it. This is a deck I'm still kind of unsure about, still getting to know, but it seemed to work really well. Oh my goodness. I mean, all flipped around, I don't know why. I really enjoyed it for that spread. It very much follows more of a numerological setup. But it's interesting and it goes its own way. I'm not 100% sure my feelings on it, but for now, I'm excited to keep giving it a try. So that was what came out for the Summer Solstice, and then let me get what I used for the Cancer season spread I did. I used... Yeek! Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall! I used... okay, backing up. Since Cancer season is very much about like our emotions, our kind of inner worlds, I wanted to find something like watery to use, but I don't have watery decks. I have the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot, but that one does not feel watery to me. So I was getting frustrated because I was like, oh my gosh, do I really have nothing that's watery at all? But then I realized, well, what decks do I have to kind of, you know, work on that more emotional space? And for me, it is the totally unofficial Adventure Time Tarot deck. And my Mons Tarot. So how am I going to we're going to show one then the other. So this one I find I use for emotional work because the show that this is based off of, Adventure Time, is very much a comfort show for me. It's probably the only show I've seen multiple times all the way through, and I don't know how many times that even has been. It's always what I come back to when I'm having a hard time. It was really there for me just during some of the really like toughest times where I had to kind of figure some things out for myself. And so it makes sense for me to want to use this deck when I'm having a hard time, or, you know, just dealing with emotions, because these characters are what I related to a lot when I was learning how to do that work for myself, if that makes sense. So we used that alongside the Mons Tarot, which, as I've mentioned before, oddly enough has become my shadow work deck. It just feels like it calls me out in such a way, and I think I almost wonder, because I do tend to look at the world in a more childlike way, and that is just my personality, that I kind of wonder if these characters and just the bright colors and just the childlikeness of them makes it easier for me to kind of understand. That's what I wonder, I suppose. But this was a lot of fun to use too for the Cancer season spread, and just the combination of this and the Adventure Time Tarot has been so awesome for me and really helped me through quite a many things, so I was happy to bring this out for my Cancer season spread. Okay, we have switched locations. I forgot to charge the camera, and it was gonna die. So here we are on the floor. Because there's no outlets over there, apparently. Okay, where was I? I think I was down to the last 2 decks I used. So for Friday, sometimes, not always, but I like to do a fun Friday with myself where I just kind of pick whatever I want outside of the decks that I picked for the week. I don't do this every week, but if I'm feeling it, you know, that's kind of my day to do it. So I actually paired the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle with the Dark Mansion Tarot. I don't know what it was about Friday morning, but we were feeling the spooky. Who knows, maybe I was sensing impending doom. I don't know, but I really enjoyed the pairing. And actually, this is what made me think of it is I've been using these, believe it or not, before bed a lot. Most nights this week I was bringing out the both of these, and I'm not usually one to bring out spooky or Halloween decks outside of kind of the darker months. But I was really inspired by my friend Jess, who uses this particular oracle like year-round, and it's such a good one. And I got this one in, I love that card, in a trade. Oh, maybe like a few months ago now. So I put it aside for use kind of in the fall. Same with this Dark Mansion Tarot too. And I just figured, you know what, I'll start working with them in the fall because that's when I'm going to want to. But I just realized, I mean, if that's still what I wanted to do, that's okay. But it felt a little bit silly to me because I was really excited about them. I was like, well, what does it matter? Am I usually drawn to use these kinds of decks in the summer? No, I'm not. But if I'm feeling it, then I should. And they just were they were so fun to pair together. I really think this is one that's going to be coming out a lot more because I just enjoyed it so much, and especially the Seasons of the Witch Samhain. I have the Yule one because I love the winter time so much. So I was waiting initially to get the Samhain because I figured I would like that too, again, especially from Jess showing how she works with it. But I was gonna wait till the fall, but it just came up where I had something that someone wanted and they were trading that deck, and I was like, well, I'll take the chance and get it now, and we'll just hold on to it. Because the Yule one, I find I don't want to use that one outside of the winter season because it just really feels very specific to that. This Samhain one, however, is totally different. I mean, it's gonna be awesome to use in the fall time, don't get me wrong, but the keywords don't really feel necessarily specific, at least to me. It feels just more like a fun spooky deck that, you know, I really feel like it can be used all year round. You can use any deck all year round, but to me the Yule feels a bit more season specific with the keywords, where Seasons of the Witch Samhain is just kind of feels more generally witchy to me, which is a lot of fun. And I loved pairing it with the Dark Mansion Tarot. This is a deck that I've had so much fun with this week too. So I was really excited to kind of discover this pairing, and I know it's going to be coming out a lot more before the fall time, I should say. Okay, now we can get into what I am using this coming week. We will start with the oracles. So if you saw my last video, it was a this or that where I kind of went through and compared decks inspired by Lisa Papez. But my purpose was not necessarily to put anything straight into my timeout bin, as I like to call it, where I'm considering rehoming. I wanted to kind of challenge myself with these decks because all except one, the Druidcraft, I was ready to let go of. But the rest of them I felt some sort of attachment to, where I was just like, I can't get rid of it, right? Like, I know I'm just going to be kind of flip-flopping back and forth, so the only way just seemed to be like, I need to just use them, you know, and see how I feel after using them. So I challenged myself to kind of put all those decks in a pile. I have them actually right behind me here. It's kind of a mess, but I want to use at least one of them per week until I kind of make my way through the pile and see, you know, what do I actually want to keep, and maybe, like, what am I keeping around, maybe, I don't know for what reason, honestly. I just, like, it's some weird attachment, which is interesting, and I'm excited to discover more about that. Like, why am I feeling attached to this? Is it because I actually like it, or is it because I'm really wishing it worked for me? I think that's the thing. Anyway, that being said, I thought it would be a lot of fun. I've been doing kind of the polls where you all can vote for one of the decks I use for the week. So we will be doing that throughout, and I thought it would be fun to have the poll centered around those decks to see which you would kind of like to see me working with first. And what won out this week, probably by the most any of them have ever won by, was the Sakurai Bito Tarot. I'm really excited about this one. This was actually kind of the one I wanted to take out first, because this one, probably out of all of them, is the one I feel the biggest attachment to and don't know why. I have the Tiny Traveler, and part of what I was wondering, is it just because it's a mini deck and I don't tend, oh, my favorite card, I don't tend to use mini decks for whatever reason. That's a recent realization. I don't know, but I do really like the artwork. It's a very different deck for me. And I just find I don't really lean towards it, but I've not taken the time to get to know it. So I'm really excited to have this one out this week, especially, you know, I don't know that I really would want to get the full size purely because I love the cardstock of this so much. It's a linen, but it feels like papery almost. I don't know how else to describe it. It's sturdy, but it has this like papery feel. Can you like hear that? That texture? It's so good. And while it's a mini, I wouldn't say, it's like not insanely so. I don't know. I'm excited about it though, because I do really love the illustrations, and I just want to get to know this one better. So, the first deck we're using is the Sakurai Bito, which I think we all can agree is a fun word to say. Now, the second tarot, we're gonna bring out a new one. Oh, well, I've shown it before, but, you know, I've not really gotten to work with it yet, so it's new in that sense. And that is the fantastic Menagerie Tarot. I'm so excited about this one. This is just one that feels like it was made for me to have. Why is the sun card separated? I don't know. Okay, anyway. This deck is so beautiful, so much fun. I love the anthropomorphic animals, and I just thought it would be a really good kind of contrast to the Sakurai Bito, since that one is so, like, dark, it's got those black borders, and it's people. I thought it would be fun to have this one that is very much on the other end of the spectrum. It's light, it's colorful, it's whimsical. So I'm excited to bring this one out and really give it a go, because it's one that I was looking at forever before they kind of came out with those, I love that. Not reprint per se, but they were waiting on more copies of the decks. Or no, sorry, they were waiting for the boxes that they made for them. So that is the second tarot we will be using. I still have it in the box for now. I'm waiting on, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I have a Peggy bag coming to house this one. My Victorian Romantic, I have a bag from Cosmic Eye Tarot, which I love, but this one I just wanted something, like fun for. Not to say that those bags aren't fun, but they're made with like almost like vintage upholstery, vintage looking fabric. They have a very like Victorian feel, which would have totally worked for this, and there was a bag that really matched the bags well, but you'll see when it comes in. I just wanted something fun. So, actually, I just realized I'm bringing out 2 decks from that pile this week, because the first oracle I have is the Seed and Sickle, which I compared to my combined Illustrated Bestiary and Herbiary. Or no, Woodland Wardens. Woodland Wardens. And this one is on the newer side for me, and I loved it when I just kind of took it out of the box and did some readings with it, but when it went into the rotation for my daily pulls, something about it I just wasn't crazy about, and I wasn't excited to use it, but I really feel like it needs another chance, because I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. It might just be that it doesn't have keywords, I don't know, but I just wasn't excited to use it, so I really wanted to give this one another chance, and I just thought it would look really nice with the Sasarai Beetle, since it's colorful and won't kind of blend in with that one, if that makes any sense. But the art styles felt like they kind of matched well. So we're bringing this one out as well. So we have 2 from that pile out of the 4, which is pretty good. I was really only expecting 1 from myself every week, but we're doing 2. And the last oracle I picked out kind of specifically to pair with the Fantastic Menagerie is the Pear Tree Court Oracle. And I think this is just going to be so much fun. I thought it would kind of be, or kind of give off this idea of, like, sometimes when I see the anthropomorphic animals, I think to myself, like, oh, maybe it's like they were people once, but they got changed into animals by some kind of magic or whatever. And so I thought pairing these together would be really fun in the sense of just maybe these were the people that got changed into the animals or something, I don't know. But also just visually I thought they would pair really well together. So I'm excited about this one. And I haven't taken this oracle out in a few weeks now, and I really like this one. It's very simple, straightforward, with really good keywords, which makes my daily pulls a lot easier for me, I suppose you could say. Maybe that's what it was about Seed and Sickle, is that it just ended up taking more time than I was looking for. I don't know. We'll see. But those are the decks I'm planning to use this week. So, thank you all so much again for hanging out with me on this very hot Sunday. Hopefully if it's hot where you are, you're staying cool, but have a wonderful beginning to your week.